Okay, this is He Says, She Says Reviews. I'm Jay, and
I'm Shay.
And we will be reviewing movies as a couple. That way you, as couples out there, can maybe take our opinion as a couple and decide whether or not you want to go see this movie or spend your money. Maybe you want to get the guy perspective and the girl perspective.
Yeah, and you can tell if both of you want to see it, or maybe you decide you don't want to see it as a couple, you just want to see it separately. But we came up with this idea because we have different viewpoints on movies, and Jay always wants to see something action-based, and I want to see something romantic. Maybe not always. We kind of came up with a deal that we'll see one of his movies first, and then we'll see one of my movies. I'll be reviewing Girls Trip, and this was directed by Malcolm D. Lee, and we'll give you our overall thoughts on it.
Obviously not exactly a typical guy movie, not a guy movie at all, really. I had the pleasure of seeing this movie with my girlfriend. She wanted to see it, and I was happy to see it with her. We're going to talk about everything we liked or didn't like, and we'll rate movies by popcorn buckets.
Maybe we should start with the plot.
There's going to be spoilers.
Well, the movie is about 4 girls that go on a girls' trip together to try to rekindle their friendship, have a long-standing friendship, and they call themselves the Flossy Posse. I really enjoyed the girl aspect of the movie. Definitely it would be a great movie to take your girlfriends with you and discuss any moments that you have that are similar to the women in the film. Definitely I laughed during the movie. Okay, Jay, what did you think about the comedy aspect of the movie?
Well, it's not hilarious. It's funny though. It has moments. It has a lot of laughing, slapstick kind of moments to it, but it wasn't my particular brand of comedy. I mean, but it was okay.
I think the maybe the humor's a little bit teenage sexuality humor, even though there's a very adult element to the movie. The comedy was not deep. It was definitely surface level. And I went in thinking that the movie was going to have a lot more laughs than what I got out of the movie. So I was a little bit disappointed in that. But there were definitely moments that will make you laugh out loud. I wouldn't want to hear my teenagers talking like the women in the film, because they'd be very experienced teenagers. It definitely wasn't something, that would take a lot of thinking. Yeah,
sex is a major theme in this movie. That got kind of old. Sex jokes get old. Gay jokes get old. It's funny to a degree, but after so long, you're like, okay.
Jay took a little bit of offense to the portrayal of men in the film.
I don't take a personal offense because I don't relate to the character in the movie that's kind of the bad guy of the movie, if you will. But he's not a good person. It's an unfair portrayal. I think definitely of men and women too. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe this is you to the inside of women's worlds that we normally don't see.
No, I think you're right, because honestly, I mean, this is a movie, and it's definitely not an honest portrayal of women and what they talk about. Now, some women might talk this much about sex all the time, but some don't. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily an honest portrayal of women, but it is an honest portrayal of friendship, I would say. I kind of liked how the women bonded and they came somewhat from different walks of life and had different interests, and could openly say to each other, I don't like this about what you're doing in your life, but I'm still your friend, and they still got a kick out of each other. And I really did like that element of the movie, because it does capture the essence of a girl's friendship with another woman, so I did like that part.
Yeah, the friendship part is probably the most honest part of the whole thing. It's what you expect. It's very predictable. It's very uniform to what we've already seen in other movies like this. The movies aren't like that, but this is just another movie that's predictable like any other girl movie, and even action movies that we're going to talk about also are very predictable.
Yes, and that goes back to us talking about the plot a little bit. The plot didn't have a lot of surprises for us in the movie. We kind of think of ourselves as movie connoisseurs, and we watch a lot of movies, and it didn't hold a lot of surprises for us. So in the aspect of rating the plot, we did not think the plot was very well written.
Was there ever a moment that was a surprise to you? Do you ever remember feeling like it, like, oh, I didn't see that one coming, or oh wow, that's a bit of a shocked. I don't remember anything like that personally, really, in it.
I think there might have been one moment, but honestly, I can't remember it at this moment. But there might have been one moment. Some things that we liked about the movie, did like the comedy somewhat. We really liked it when the characters got stripped down at one point and all the girls were just themselves.
You mean when they don't have makeup on?
Yes, and they're laying around in bed and they're talking.
Yeah, and they're just kind of very, very raw about that scene, and they got, they're not all done up and everything like they are through most of the movie. It added some depth to the characters, and it made me think a little bit differently, which was kind of cool. Cool that they do that in a movie.
Yeah, I liked that part. It made the characters seem a little bit more real, and not these done-up, beautiful women that they look like during most of the movie. I liked the locale. I liked that it was taking place in New Orleans, and felt like we got a little view and glimpse of the city, and the Mardi Gras almost atmosphere that was out there. So I liked that part of the movie.
See, I haven't been to New Orleans
I haven't
myself.
either.
You've been to Louisiana though.
Mm-hmm.
So my perspective on New Orleans comes purely from anything else I've seen, like movies or maybe videos. It looked really cool, and the scenery looked great. I can't say to the reality of it because I haven't been there, but that's this thing I can think of. You see a lot of New Orleans and JFK. It had a lot of cool scenery in that too, and this one had a lot of cool shots too. So.
What were some of the shots that you liked in the movie?
Just the downtown atmosphere of it, I thought was kind of cool. They had some pretty good aerial shots of it that were pretty nice.
Well, one scene I really liked was when they were going down the street with the band playing, and that's something a lot of times think of when you think of New Orleans, that music atmosphere.
Jazzy, bluesy kind of thing.
And people letting loose and just having fun, and there's definitely that element to it.
Yeah,
and
that was really cool.
We talked a little bit about this being called Girls Trip, and I mean a lot of girls have been on a girls trip, and the elements of we're going to do something exciting at night, and we're going to go stay in a hotel, and we're all going to sleep together, and we're going to tell stories, we're going to stay up all night, and there's definitely that feeling in the movie. It definitely moves along those lines, and doing something slightly bad that you might not do if you're at home. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas type feeling is in the movie a little bit. So I really liked that because it brought back thoughts about girls trips that I've taken, and again the bonding and the friendship. So you'll definitely like that part if you're going with your girlfriends to see the movie. There's a lot of music in the movie of people singing different things.
Yeah, I thought the singers were really good though.
The cameo
I
appearances.
thought all the artists who did any music were good.
Well, it showed Puff Daddy. And,
yeah, Diddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Diddy.
Ace was with Diddy, which I thought was kind of cool.
But that was neat, the cameo appearances, because there are a lot of cameo appearances by different people that are famous in the film. I was probably most impressed with Queen Latifah's character in the film. I happen to like her in a lot of movies and roles that she's been in. She was convincing in her part, seemed the whole time caught up in what she was really going through. And I liked how in the end she was being true to who she was as a person. But Jay actually liked another character much more than Queen Latifah's character.
I will say I initially liked the character more. Odd because I felt like she was going to be the most respectable one of them all. It's kind of weird because the two that I wouldn't have thought were going to be the two that are kind of respected more by the end of the movie than the ones I thought I was going to at the first part. It's definitely a typical what you expect. You know, I mean, we've seen this character before. You see a similar character in Bad Moms.
Bad Moms.
It's almost a version of that character in that movie that changes differently, but still kind of she's changed by the end of it.
But I was telling Jay, though, I mean, we have this character who's really wild and crazy and out there with her sexuality and not making any excuses or saying that she's sorry for being who she is sexually. And we've seen that with so many guys' films. Where the man is allowed to be the one that's having all these sexual adventures, and we don't see that with women as much. I mean, you've got Kim Cattrall in Sex and the City and how she portrays Samantha's character, and you're starting to see more women like that, where they're the aggressors. And in a way, it's for a woman, it's interesting to see that because it is going somewhere where we haven't gone. you said that you really liked the character that was played by Jada Pinkett Smith, Lisa.
Yeah, I liked her because she was conservative. She seemed to be what I thought was pretty well-rounded and kind of a stronger character. I think she kind of weakens throughout the movie.
But she's kind of the glue that holds the girls' friendship
she's
together.
definitely the nice, the down to earth, and the sweetness of the movie for sure. In spite of certain things that happen in the movie,
but at one point she was the bad girl. It says in the movie, and she had kids, and she makes reference to this very many times in the film, and that they sucked her dry, and that she's no longer allowed to be that type of person. But by the end, she's kind of going back to some of her ways, but still holding true to some of her probably best characteristics. This kind of reminded me of some of the ideas of when you graduate from high school and who people were when they were in high school, and how that life changes you as you go through life, and some people that are partiers become upstanding parents, and some people that thought that they were going to become first-rate journalists turn into kind of sleazy journalism. So we can't always predict what we're going to end up like, but it kind of had that element for me of friendship, but also not knowing where you were going in your life. The title character, Ryan, was played by Regina Hall, and I thought she did a really good job in the film. I mean, I liked her. She was a likable character. I would call her the protagonist of the film, but Jay doesn't always agree with what I say about that. But I did like her. I felt sympathy for her. As we go through the movie, we learn that her husband is cheating on her. That was easy for me to give her sympathy and feel bad for her. But she does kind of make herself out to be weak, and Jay thought that was...
given its take in that situation, maybe her greed was allowing her to make some bad decisions. She may still have been in love with her husband and stuff. Obviously she cared about him and he cared about her, but just I don't know. It's a weird dynamic in this movie in that regard. I just wanted to say that. But,
she's greedy, and she lets money drive her in staying in a relationship that's going to make her sad and feel unloved for probably the rest of her life. We kind of felt too that the male characters were a bit stereotyped in the film. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the men and how they were portrayed in the film and the stereotyping of them. That we do have a stereotyping with the husband being in the NFL, and that he is not necessarily physically abusive to his wife, but emotionally abusive. James could have a little tiny bit of sympathy for him, where I did not have any whatsoever. I thought he was a master manipulator of his wife and continued to pull the right strings just to keep her in the relationship with him, even though he definitely didn't deserve any second chances. James thought he was portrayed well. The husband did a good job.
He played it with some degree of humanity. I mean, I say he was a good guy or something, anything like that. He really wasn't the devil either. He was not a nice man. I mean, it's just the actor coming through the character, because that happens. But he wasn't there's something about him that was still somewhat, I felt, redeemable and maybe even a little likable.
Another character that was one of the major male characters in the story was the love interest, or what would become the love interest of Ryan, who was Julian in the film, and I thought he was very likable and definitely did Ryan right in different parts of the movie. Like when she was drunk, he definitely made sure she got home safely and everything. But again, Jay and I disagreed a little bit on this, and how he felt that he was definitely kind of had no flaws, and that doesn't sometimes bode well for a character when they don't.
Yeah, he just fell flat for me. I mean, he's just this typical guy we see in all these movies. Just kind of, he falls in line with the girl, the crazy girl, who does all the crazy stuff and does all crazy things and acts crazier than the rest, and she's purely there for comedy and laughs. You seem to have that character in all these movies. You also seem to have the flawless, nice guy, sweet guy, who's always there at the right moment and at the right time. And to me, it was just another reiteration of that character, just a black version of what we've seen in other girl movies. I mean, there's different versions of all these guys, but I think it'd be cool to see these guys in a sequel and see where they go and see if they continue to be, so perfect. It would be interesting to see that.
When I really liked Bad Moms, so honestly, if I were going to do a comparison of the two movies, I would have to give a higher rating to Bad Moms than
Yeah, I would too.
this movie, even though they both had similarities and both were probably pretty predictable. For some reason, I found the humor in that movie a little bit better than this one. I really liked the message of the film, though. I thought it had a good message about staying true to yourself and getting back to what you want and knowing yourself as a person and not defining yourself by your relationships. And I thought that was really good. I mean, we definitely have some strong women role models that come out at the end. So if there's anything positive that comes out of the movie, it's definitely probably the message.
Some good messages about friendship and self-esteem and character. Positive in the end, it really is.
So if we're going to get down to it, what would we do to improve the movie?
More explosions.
Oh yeah, more explosions. Were there any
A little
explosions
more
besides
bravado
urine
and
explosions?
some testosterone flying around.
Hey, they did have a testosterone moment in it. There was a fight scene for the girls. All you girls out
Yeah,
there.
they had a pretty good fight. Yeah, I will say that, man. That fight scene took me by surprise too. It just sort of, and the person who initiated the fight, that part was kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked that part because it's got the humor element where they kind of have a dance off between the two rival girl groups.
Which we've seen that though.
But James liked that. Jay really liked that part of the dancing. Gentlemen, you'll like that part if you go see the movie.
Yeah, guys will enjoy that part, like I said. But
but
it's still cliche.
It was cliche, but then they have the fight scene afterwards, and it was definitely an all-in-out brawl, similar to a Western movie where people were getting brutalized. And
there was some pretty intense violence in this movie when you think about it. I mean, I don't want to give everything away, but like the crazy girl right from the beginning of the movie is fairly violent.
So honestly, if we were going to improve the movie, we probably improve the plot and throw in some
twists and turns. Honestly,
even if they were
the plot needs to be better. Better story, more character development. We changed the movie. It's a comedy, so I guess you really don't.
It is a comedy, but we discussed that it's got drama elements to it too. So it's definitely
it's a bit of a drama. It's definitely a drama because there's some very adult themes to this movie.
But I think it could be deepened. I mean, you can still have comedy, but it get deep in meaning and in plot. So I would have liked to have seen some twists and turns to the plot a little bit. Definitely, as Jay said, some deepening of the character development because the characters stayed pretty surface level. And both of us like it when you can dig into a character and they kind of shock you, surprise you, or make you think. And there was not a lot of making you think in this movie, if you ask me.
No. But it's a comedy, and it's supposed to be funny, and you're not supposed to have to get really deep into it, so I get it.
So, let's get down to what we would recommend on seeing this movie. What do you think? Would you recommend people go see it or not? Take their loving girlfriend to see this movie?
Yeah, sure. It's a girl movie, but not fried green tomatoes.
We'll be reviewing that movie in the future, just so you know. Paybacks for Jay.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in there for men. You won't be bored. I wasn't bored. Let me be clear and say that I was not bored in the movie. Would I go see it again? You can bypass it in the theater, honestly, too. It's a date, you want to go on your girl, and you just want to get out of the house or whatever. That's great. But for a date night with your girl, and you just want to give her something, let her laugh, that she'll enjoy a lot more, because as a man, you're not going to enjoy it as much as a woman's going to. I'm just going to tell you that. But it is okay. I mean, there's some nudity, and I won't get into a lot of detail. Just say it's not what you probably expect. I'll tell you that.
One of my favorite things to always look for in movies is the fashion. And I really did love the fashion. I mean, they dressed all body types in this movie, from the curvy woman and the Queen Latifah down to the Jada Pinkett Smith. So you're going to definitely see beautiful fashion in the movie and a variety. And so definitely look for that in the film, because that part was kind of shining, almost Sex and the City like, with all the different characters and the beautiful fashion in it. But if we're going to get down to it, I probably would only give this 2.5 popcorn buckets. It definitely could use some improvement, but as Jay said, it did meet the requirements of a comedy, and we definitely, I mean, it was enjoyable, and I wasn't bored either in the film, but I was definitely disappointed. I wanted better from this movie. But the actresses were good, and I think this won't probably hurt their careers, but
No.
I would not recommend you spend your money on this one. I would wait until it comes out on video.
I, however, am going to disagree with Shay just a bit here. Initially, I was on board with her. I thought it's funny because we kind of switched places. I thought it was 2.5. You thought it was a 2. You've kind of given it a little bit more after thinking about it. I've actually taken a step back and reduced mine down to a 2. I think it's 2 popcorn buckets. You know, a day later, thinking back on it, I'm not impressed. I've seen the movie. It was okay, but there's nothing I'm going, man, you know, you gotta see this thing, or maybe I'd even go see it again. I don't get that from it, but it's done mechanically well. From the production perspective, it's done well. It's filmed well. It looks nice. It has good music. You know, it has what you want out of a movie, but it also lacks something. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, the dialogue was not bad. It was probably a fairly well written
the
script.
dialogue was good. I don't know how much of that is improvised, but overall, I mean, it was okay. So I'll give it a 2 out of 5. I mean, that's fair, and I think that's pretty honest for a male perspective on it, from a guy who loves movies and, you know, is into if you're into sci-fi and action and the kinds of movies I'm into. If you're a guy like me who loves movies, you'll give it probably a 2 as well. So spend your money if you just want to take your girlfriend. She'll enjoy it. On your own, no.
It might be better well spent with your girlfriend. Honestly.
Most definitely see it with your girl, or that's the only way as a man. I'm going to take your guys to go see this movie.
I did think there was a little bit of some other elements that were like guy movies that we've seen in the past, like bachelor type movies. So I mean, there's some of that. So maybe it's just made as a, you know, a woman's movie that was, you know, out there to let women have their moment like this. But save your money, and Jay and I will be reviewing something that he likes or wants to go see next.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you guys for taking time to listen to us, and we hope that we were able to help you and that you enjoyed our review. Until next time.